in Shanghai, went to all 3 games. We are now in Xi'an, and we're going to all 3 games again. This time around, LNG do get themselves the Akali, but they will not get the Lee Sin to combo with it. And we can see now Kindred actually picked up here as well.
I'm really surprised to see that Akali has made it through this often. Like, Kalista could definitely be a ban that you take out. Lee Sin as well wasn't really an impact. Like, the Akali has been a major thorn in their side, and especially now when you add in things like the Kindred to keep the Aphelios safe and another assassin alongside LeBlanc. Like, how do you try and play this game as Elk, or, you know, honestly, like, the likes of missing on this Karma as well? It feels like you're just a sitting duck waiting for these assassins to pick you off.
I will say that yes, we have a lot of assassins, but that's a hell of a squishy lineup for LNG as we jump onto the rift for LNG versus Team WE. One of these teams will be going home with a win, the other home disappointed, as Team WE, they really would love to get this one to go to 2-1. They really would love to win this game. Would put them onto 5-4 in a much stronger position. For LNG, they just want to break that losing streak. They want to get themselves back on top, up to 8-3, and solidify themselves as a top 6, top 5 playoff team.
I prefer that we're seeing Gwen move towards a solo lane though, because I think we've seen Beishang, look, it's not a bad pick, it can do work, but when you got so little CC in your team, it doesn't really get to do particularly much. As Icon will take a heavy chunk just straight off the bat here, but again, I think Breathe having this in his hands is going to do a hell of a lot more. Opens up Beishang to have a bit more of an impact on the Volibear in these early stages as well, which definitely seems like the team that gets off to the early running, especially WE, have the opportunity to just close out this game.
Well, there is a ward in this bush, as we can see the Karma Ezreal trying to get some early poke damage down. Will miss pretty much everything as they go into the lane. WE, they're looking very aggressive, and this feels like the theme of this particular day is aggression in these, you know, duos, aggression in the early game, and getting that momentum behind you to become the winner of the series, effectively.
Yeah, and I mean, look, as you look towards this bottom lane, it's heavy poke. Like, short range AD carry, like Light, not going to be happy here when he's getting double spammed here with the Qs coming through from Elk and missing. They get full control over this bot side, and it means that for the first time we're actually seeing Tarzan, instead of sticking down towards this bottom side, he is pathing up towards this top lane. So Breathe will need to make sure that he's crashing this wave, because there is always an opportunity for Icon having control of this mid lane to start roaming up top side and cause a bit of issues here for Breathe if he's not safe.
We've already even got to talk about the Sylas in the mid lane. Not a huge amount of impactful ults. The quickness is one I tend to look at quite a bit. The Moonlight Vigil, of course, another one as well. But an interesting one to see if he's actually able to use about it is the Lamb's Respite, and see if he's able to kind of abuse that random moment of invulnerability in these team fights.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love the opportunities that Shanks has. I feel like this is a moment to show how quick Shanks can think, but might have to be Icon who's quickly thinking now. Just going to absorb some pressure here, allow Shanks to push out this wave. But, like, you have options here, Shanks, as to how you want to play out these fights, right? Do you want to go aggressive, right? Moonlight Vigil, the opportunity to take the perfect execution. Do you want to play kind of a happy medium? Well, take the quickness. You can play Peel if you're looking for Icon or Ally. You can also go in aggressive and see if you can charm a couple of folks like Light. Or you can end up playing full defense and take away things like the Lamb's Respite. So I think from Shanks, this is actually going to be a pretty big test for him, how quickly he can think on his feet, because he's got a lot of options as to whether he wants to play engage or provide some peel and then go aggressive as this Sylas.
Wait and see exactly how he plays it out. So fairly early days at the moment. We see both junglers clearing out their bot and top side. Actually, still the Krugs available for Beishang, and has found himself in this bot side. There is no jungler here, and no wards just yet either. So just putting down a lot of deep vision, making sure they know exactly where Tarzan is going, and making sure they can keep tabs on this Kindred. Excuse me.
Yeah, and that's the big one, is trying to make sure, hey, look, can we continuously deny these marks from the Kindred? Because that's obviously what Tarzan's looking for being the magic number where you get that extra range. So we definitely want to have a look and see, hey, look, is this something that we're going to see a bit more of? I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to continue to use this pressure that Karma Ezreal has in his bottom line to look for potential plays. Especially when you're going to be able to pick away this turret. If you end up just kind of giving up Rift Herald, you can then start to actually look to just take that bot lane turret, or even look for dives if you end up full committing towards that Rift Herald at the 8-minute mark. You get that Volibear coming in, get Shanks TPing down, you can make some heavy plays down towards this bottom side. So I think for WE, they have a lot of kind of what we posed questions as to how they want to play at this game. There's a lot of options for them when it comes towards team fights, early map pressure, and how they want to see it this game.
For LNG, it does feel like if they're assassins, if Ale and Icon are able to get on top of the backline, you touched on it, of course, when we quickly looked at the pick and ban graphic, there's just nothing that Elk can do. There's no counterplay to that particular setup, and he has just got to accept his fate that he's probably going to die, and it's going to be on LNG to find and create those opportunities in order to really find themselves in an advantageous situation.
And Akali's one of the best champions at dealing with something like the Ezreal. Because, like, oftentimes you're like, well, he's got so much mobility in his kit, it's super hard. Akali matches that. She has the shuriken flip to try and follow up. She's got the second half of the perfect execution. It's actually one of the harder assassins for Elk to try and outplay. Now, Elk might have to outplay on this bottom side.
Well, might have to try and go for something missing, however. Does not have as much mobility in his kit as he probably likes, and First Blood goes over to the side of LNG, and they quickly get it into a second kill on top side. That is 2 very quick kills here for LNG, and it's exactly what you want to see.
And it's what I've been calling for from LNG for so damn long, right? As Icon should be fine, I think, maybe.
Should be fine. She's okay for the moment. Is popping a pot, so has the corrupting pot there, but yeah,
I want to go back to this. So for LNG, like, having Icon roaming is what I've been asking for so damn long. Especially because we even highlighted, like, he's been playing picks like this LeBlanc, like the Twisted Fate, not actually being able to find these opportunities to get out of lane. Well, should have been able to find these opportunities to get out of lane. Now we're seeing it getting this play up towards the top side. We're going to get a replay here. TP's up, actually straight from base. Breathe has absolutely no clue because of where the vision is positioned, and they're able to pick him off. We get Tarzan going aggressive in towards the bottom lane as well. This is what I want to see from LNG, where you're actually getting this early pressure and not just focused on what are the individual lanes doing and are they kind of just letting the map fall to the wayside.
Gonna be on WE now. Specifically, I look at Beishang to maybe try and find a response to that particular play. And you're losing on both sides of the map. It never ever feels good. And there are still opportunities. You will have level 6 for Beishang very, very shortly, and that could mean a tower dive on bot, on top, even on mid. As we can see there, Shank's doing so much on top of this LeBlanc, and this is the power of the Sylas. And as I say that, we are going to see Beishang not even level 6 yet, just jumping straight in, flashes forward, gets the stun down. Light has no flash, no heal, nowhere to go. Now he's got the level 6 to turn off the tower, and that's a very, very successful response here for WE.
And now for WE, they'll be able to get these turret plates now, and then be able to back away if they want to, reset towards this Rift Herald as well. Cannon minion just being put in towards the bot side. You get the Super Knight reset for Elka missing if they want to go towards Rift Herald, or they can look to rinse and repeat that play bot side. But either way, great play for WE.
Great play by them. They get so much plate. Both kills going on to Elk's Ezreal. And you can even see Breathe here knowing I don't have pressure in topside, so I don't need to be pushed up. I'm going to defend the red buff. Knowing that his jungler is taking the enemy's red buff, that is just a very, very smart play overall here from Team WE. And LNG, they're back on the back foot. They need to regroup, bring themselves back as they did in Game 2, and find solutions to this now presented problem.
And this is what we said at the start of the day. I've been super happy with Breathe in that top lane. I love how he just thinks about, hey, look, what am I being useful in lane right now? Not particularly, right? Like, that lane is kind of stuck there by Ale. I'm not going to be able to do too much. So let's see if I can go back and hold on to my camps for Beishang and make sure he's all going to be fine. Is he going to fall behind it a little bit? He'll lose like 2 to 3 CS, but still, like, he's going to be in a pretty fine spot.
Yeah, Beishang knowing that the dragon is not his priority right now as his bot lane had just reset. They are going to get themselves the Rift Herald, but we'll see the spawn of the mark for the Kindred, and you can already see on the minimap there, the Kindred making her way downtown, trying to see if they can get that spawn. It should be pretty easy, not really much a Karma and Ezreal can do about it, as they're going to have to try and just let this one go. So curious to see now. He is on 1 mark, so this will only be the Kindred's second mark. And
they can kill Tarzan? Okay.
No, he's good. He's good. He's golden. He had the smite on that particular one as Lwandy, who nearly gets the chain to pop off on him. But still getting 2 marks at this stage is nice for Tarzan. He just needs to try and accelerate it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's looked a little bit dicey there for a second. His Light wouldn't have been able to get through the turret to try and help. But here we go. Icon. Shanks is trading so well in this mid lane against Icon.
He really, really is. The stolen LeBlanc ult, just using it to continue the skirmish and saying, look, you have to back away now. And with that Rift Herald taken and, of course, the pressure in bot side, you can see there LNG able to take out that first strike of the game. Again, more and more pressure coming in here from WE. They're trying to see if they can make cross maps. This is what we love to see from our top teams. It's not about outplaying at every single objective. It's about finding an objective around somewhere which you know you have the advantage. Ale does get himself out nicely there with the shuriken flip.
The problem here for Tarzan, though, is that although he's got the 2 stacks right now, trying to invade on towards the opponent is going to be super hard for the rest of the game. Because yes, you'll have dragons where you can try and sneak in and maybe steal one if you're lucky, but you've got full control up topside for Breathe. Shanks is destroying Icon, despite the fact that it should be a bit more of an even matchup for Icon in that mid lane. And Elk and Missing just have too much pushing power between the double range matchup in the bot side. So he's going to try and get in towards the opponent's jungle as Tarzan, but it's not going to look likely for a while and can put a bit of a dampener on the ability for Tarzan to get towards a point where he gets that 4th stack.
I love that there from Missing, recognizing this, like, look, the only way we really kind of lose this lane advantage we have, 30 CS or just under it, in favor of the Ezreal over the Aphelios, is if they get a TP play. So he scans up around the alcove, notices that there's a ward freshly put down there, ready for a TP, and they're just keeping themselves safe, and that's exactly what they need to do right now for Team WE. They've got themselves a 600, 700 gold lead. They're happy with where everything is positioned. There's no crazy dragon stacking in terms of early soul or anything, so they're happy with way things are as of the moment.
And you've even got the Rift Herald still for Beishang. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rift Herald ends up making its way topside. I think getting Breathe ahead further in that matchup is going to be super nice. You see he's got the Verdant Barrier, so looking to try and stay up against either Ale or Icon, and he's going to get a heap of value, but does delay the Rift Maker. So getting a bit of help towards Breathe, I think, could be the get-go. Or they might just try and crash up in bot side.
Just defending there, Beishang arrives. The rest of LNG know they have to back themselves away, as we see the True Shot Barrage skimming over Tarzan. Takes about a third of his HP off of him. Maybe we do see the Rift Herald down this bot side. It would mean the tower does fall if they're able to get it. It's a cannon wave coming in as well, so it's pretty easy for them to be able to get it, but there is TPs available for both mid laners and both top laners, so this could be an all-out brawl.
Yeah, as you said, though, Missing already doing his due diligence of clearing out all the wards that could potentially be TP'd in on behind them. And now, just the turret will fall.
There's the quickness, though.
Oh, no.
Are they able to commit to it? The TP is going to be committed to anyways. We can see there Lwandy just about staying alive because of the Lamb's Respite. Now Ale onto this backside, use the perfect execution, is able to take down Elk as the tower will fall. But here comes Gwen and Sylas. You have nowhere to go here, LNG, as WE are tearing through them. They flash onto Light. He just needs to find the Abstand of Duck, and he should be able to get him. Nice flash from Light, able to keep himself alive. The Storm is being brought down, but they're not able to go for it anymore. Shanks thought about it, but thought the better of it, and they backed themselves away.
Good flash there from Light at the end of things to actually get away from that, but WE, they turned that play around, and we talked about already, the TPs coming through from LNG were so far away that WE had all the time in the world to react, and unfortunate for Lwandy when we're going to get this replay, he goes for the quickness, he goes for the play, and manages to headbutt straight into the Rift Herald. It was so sad to watch. It meant that LNG didn't get this great engage off. We're going to see it here, right? Lwandy backs away out of vision, pops the quickness so that then they don't know, jumps to light, and instantly gets headbutt by the Rift Herald. So this play could have been great. It could have been the lockup for Elk, setting up for Ale straight off the bat. It looks beautiful with Icon coming down, but unfortunately it's not going to be the case. They spend so much time trying to deal with the slippery Ezreal that the rest of WE get to show up and LNG are sent packing. But I still gotta say, like, I'm preferring what I'm seeing from LNG here. Even though it's not quite working out, we're getting members moving down towards the bottom lane to try and help out. We're getting a lot more map movement from LNG. They're not just sitting by wistfully as WE take control. They are trying to respond. It's just some unfortunate errors that are causing issues for them.
This is where WE have found themselves in the advantage. They are the ones that feel more in tune with the team fight. They are the ones that feel like they are making the right calls. We can see now Shanks has been left to deal with Ale on this Akali, excuse me, as he's now got himself a Rift Maker. So Definitely feeling good if you're on this Akali, about 30 CS or 25 or so ahead of your natural lane opponent in the Gwen. And you can see there, just a lot of gold going over from the plates in the bot lane. And now, ooh, Icon has a flash available to him should he need it. We'll go back straight away, but I don't know if that's the play. He's trying to use himself and try to use his dummy, but they will get the auto attack off. Elk picks that one up, and the flash was burnt as well. Icon just getting caught out.
And W have been so good at using these side lanes throughout this series, right? Again, they see LA doesn't really have pressure topside. WE aren't in a position to go for a dive themselves, so they just overload bot side of the map, get the play, get the turret, and get it scot-free.
Will give up the Rift Herald, but as a tier 2 in the bot side, that makes that lane so long and so dangerous, considering you haven't even taken the tier 1 in the bot lane yet. They will get the Rift Herald and a lot of damage, if not the entire structure in top lane tier 1, but they're trading again. Last time they took the Dragon, they gave the Rift Herald over to Team WE. This time Team WE are taking the Dragon and they're giving over the Rift Herald.
Again, though, like, with Tarzan actually not being able to get some of these marks, we didn't get to see if he got one in the last fight, but he's kind of sitting at 3 because you can still see the mark is going to be in on the bot side jungle for WE, and it feels like everywhere Tarzan's gone, the mark is going the opposite direction, and now he even steals away the red buff.
Yeah, this feels bad as Kindred, and just in case you weren't aware, Kindred does need about 4 stacks of that passive to become a champion in the game, let alone overpowered.
Yeah,
and that's
you get
when
the extra range.
Yeah, the extra range, the little bit of extra attack speed, of course, when it comes into it as well. And the range is basically what you want from the Kindred. Otherwise, you're putting yourself in a lot of harm's way. And just doesn't feel great at the moment for the side of LNG's jungler. Tarzan having a bit of a struggle against Team WE. But Team WE, they're still doing very, very well. They're pushing in, trying to get Gwen up to that first item. They are building up the Everfrost and Divine Sunderer. And they actually have the Essence Reaver first item here for Elk.
And it's a bit of a weird one to see this kind of change, but I know that with the nerfs to Divine Sunder that we saw going from the 13% of the target's health to missing. No, he's okay. But 13% of the target's health down to 9%. People have started to kind of switch away from actually going towards a mythic and going back towards kind of the older style that we saw. And I actually don't mind this as well, because this build specifically builds in towards the Duskblade, that lethality style. And when you're talking about a very squishy LNG, that value from lethality is going to be really good here.
Well, Ale is the target here for Beishang on this top side. He's just hovering around, seeing if Breathe can get something going for him. We'll have the Shroud available to him. There it goes. Just took a little bit of poke damage. Do they go for the dive? I don't believe they can right now, but they may look for it afterwards because everyone on the side of LNG is bot lane.
Beishang is having a far more impactful game, though, than Tarzan is right now. Able to get in towards these side lanes. This is a lazy recall from Shanks, though.
Yeah, Shanks, I think, realizes now that he's in a little bit of trouble. The Everfrost will put a little bit of a slowdown. He turns on to Tarzan, maybe trying to just bait out the Lamb's Respite. Not able to get it, does give up his life, but they do get top lane tier 1 in return. So a structure for a life, you're still okay with that if you're Team WE.
I think Icon will get that turret on the bottom side, though, and it's also going to give the mark that you can see Kindred is racing towards on this bottom side. So WE actually could end up trying to put some pressure on towards this mid turret, knowing, hey, look, Rift Herald bot with Icon, Mark is going to go towards Kindred. Let's make a play in mid.
Well, it looks like the play is actually going to be from LNG. They get the quickness down, and you can see Ale with the perfect execution gets himself the kill onto Missing. 0, 2, and 4. Not having a bad game on Karma, but definitely could have been better. Gives over another small advantage to this Akali.
And just missteps from Missing, right? No reason to be in that scenario. Everyone else is kind of taking the long way around, and Missing not respected. And now Shanks won't be able to stop the charge, so more damage on towards this bottom lane structure. And a lot gained there by LNG. Now bringing back that gold lead to within touching distance, and you're starting to get these big items coming through. Luden's Tempest coming through for Icon. Tarzan has the Kraken Slayer, Immortal Shield Bow for Light. Now you're still waiting for like 2 to 3 items on both Tarzan and Light before they become really impactful, but this is still a nice pickup for them.
Does feel good. You have got the Muramana on the, Mana Mune, excuse me, for Elk right now, so he's just finished that one up. So he's mana'd up and ready to go. He's got a hell of a lot of different options there to keep his blue bar nicely topped up.
So good news as well, Tarzan fans, he does have his 4 stacks because that Krug spawn on his mark means he's managed to hit the 4. So Tarzan is officially a champion now.
Congratulations, welcome to the game, Tarzan. And that's part of the mini game that you have when you play Kindred. It's all about finding that 4th mark and going, okay, now I can play the game. But curious to see now what WE want to do. There was a dragon spawning in a minute's time. They've got push out in top side. And you can see now the rest of LNG are positioning very, very aggressively. And ooh, light. Ooh, light. He loses the Immortal Shield Bow and the Moonlight Vigil. That is a lot of hurt there onto the AD carry of LNG. And now you got to think twice before you go in for this fight.
Yeah, and you can see WE instantly all jump around here. They know the light's low. You've got the ability to dive this tower Beishang. So LNG, they need to be very careful.
This is something we didn't actually really hit on, but LNG are so squishy. The poke from Ezreal Karma, any of it lands, like, you can't absorb it. No one can absorb it. It's so difficult to sustain from that. And just there, you can see they have to try and get light back away from this, as Lwandy now taking his own little bit of punishment. And two Qs and he's half health. They can't stay.
Yeah, and this is right before Dragon spawns as well. TP now to try and keep this mid lane turret safe.
TP is there. Quickness has been stolen. That is on Shanks' Sylas right now. And Elk is just feeling good. He knows, and this makes perfect sense to the Essence Reaver now at first pickup as well, because he knows all he needs is a mana bar, and he is going to be fine to be able to put down this damage. He's going to be fine to keep everyone at arm's length. And it looks like LNG, they want nothing to do with this dragon. They back themselves up. They chuck Akali up after getting the Morellonomicon into the top side, and they're going to concede this objective.
There's not really much of a contest that they can put up, right? Ale, as you said, pushing top. They've no control over the bot side jungle, because it's been WE territory for the last little while. So Breathe catches the wave, they get the dragon. But you imagine now, as WE look to push out their waves, they'll be looking to make contest after contest in towards this mid lane. With the wave clear being so lackluster on LNG's side, if you set up for these sieges where Elk is able to free fire, the damage is going to stick. So for LNG, it's going to be a case of trying to stop WE from overloading this mid lane of the map once again, because we've seen it so many times this series where WE push in sides, collapse into one area, and just outman and outnumber LNG at every step of the way.
And the question becomes for LNG is, how do you stop Elk? How do you stop this man from just tearing up your backside? And again, we look at the Assassins, we look at Icon, we look at Ale, we look at these guys who are going to have to try and put themselves in harm's way to find an opportunity to get on top of this AD carry. But already we can see he recognizes that. Elk picks himself up a Hex Drinker. He knows exactly who his targets are going to be and who is going to be targeting him.
Yeah, and I love this. And again, this kind of comes back to where it's that build path, right? Divine Thunder against this squishy team isn't going to do a huge amount, right? So instead, he opts in towards kind of the old school build, which allows him to build a lot of the legendary items, but you get so much value on a champion like Ezreal with these legendary items. Now, Hex Drinker picked up. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Duskblade coming through very quickly. Or maybe even something like the Ravenous Hydra as well, because when everyone tends to group up for that Lamb's Respite, a Ravenous Hydra can do a lot of work with that AoE damage that the Ezreal can provide.
See what way he wants to build this path. The bot lane tier 2 is under siege right now from Ale, but with a teleport coming in from Sylas off the back end of this, they know exactly where it's going. Does Ale get away from it? He does not land, or does not get away from the chains as the land lands right on his face. They're not going to try and get the Everfrost, but he is dead to right. Shanks picks up that kill, and that's just a very good opportunistic play from an overextended Akali.
They're not going to be able to get too much from this, though, as WE, right? LNG still... Ooh, looking to actually chase this.
Quickness, but you have the ultimate there for Beishang, so he's still fine, and now you can see the poke really start to come in here for Elk. He lands that Q onto Lwandy. I genuinely believe he half healths him.
I mean, it's not far off at this stage, but still, Elk going aggressive, and LNG, a nice attempt there in the mid lane, because you know you've got both solo laners for WE in the bottom lane, but unable to make it stick, and it's a TP invested for a kill, but when you're trying to play both sides of the map right now, I'm actually not the biggest fan for WE, because you've got Baron up. You're going to have this dragon, which is so point for yourselves, and when you've got two TPs that would be available on LNG's side, it becomes a little bit more difficult for WE to try and play at the map, but especially when you're getting these quick resets coming through from LNG, and they'll be the ones that are pushing forward on these objectives, pushing forward in these side lanes before WE are.
Well, in 2 minutes time you will have a dragon spawning for WE. It will be soul point, but not quite soul, so you still have time here for LNG to build up some of those critical items. Of course, we mentioned a million times in one, the Infinity Edge for the Aphelios. Very crucial item here, but already finishing up the Maw and Mortius if I look at the opposite side of that AD carry matchup for Elk. So going with that extra ability haste, trying to see if he can just keep that item going for him, and don't really see that as much anymore because you get most of the value from the Hex Drinker
Yeah, but look, it is going to do a hell of a lot, just giving it a little bit about extra magic resistance. I was looking to see what was going to happen, but either way, I think the bigger thing here is more so just down to execution in these fights, right? The items are going to be lovely, but you need to see if you can get that burst damage on towards Elk from Ale, from Icon. Are you just tearing apart people as Elk with this poke damage where LNG aren't able to respond? Well, then it should be WE's game.
You can see their Icon trying to be an assassin, but very difficult when the wards are all there. Akali trying as well, does not land the shuriken flip. Icon has to go back from his distortion. And again, you can see this is so difficult. You miss your opportunity, you have to wait for the cooldowns, whereas WE, they've got themselves so many options, so many ways of executing on their team composition that if you overstep, you will be punished.
Yeah, and it's not like you've got an awful lot of wiggle room here, right? Because as you can see, like WE, they're just sniping people off, they're using that range from Ezreal so well, and then they continue the siege in the mid lane. And yes, you can have Ale, as you can see, try to play side lanes, try to create pressure, but WE right now are definitely focus on towards this dragon in 10 seconds and making sure they control river in mid lane.
Now there's only one stack of smite there from the Kindred. As we can see, Ale are getting caught out a little bit. They know exactly where he is. He's going to be caught out and forced to go into Zhonya's very, very early, so no more stopwatch and no perfect execution for him. Again and again, LNG, they're just getting caught out with the execution of their team fight. They're not able to make it stick, and that means that WE, with the easier executable, get the dragon.
Yeah, I know it's unfortunate because they have the right idea, right? See if they can get that flank for Ale, but they needed to wait until WE actually got towards the dragon. Then you can have the pressure coming through from Ale by jumping over the back of the wall in towards river, but not going to be the case. And now, because Icon was in a position to finish off Beishang with how low he was, LNG hightail a topside after losing out the dragon.
And they gain the small consolation prize that is, of course, that stack. 6 stacks now for the Kindred. As we see now, Elk just pushing forward back up to his top side. Icon might be caught himself out. He has flash available, but this is going to be a bit of a risky one for him to get out of. Still has the distortion, still able to keep himself alive. And that was a little greedy from the LNG mid laner.
Yeah, it doesn't have to burn flash or anything though, so he still manages to escape away from that. So it means here for WE, let's start moving in towards these side lanes. Push out top, push out bot here with Breathe, and then look to see if they can move the control they've had over the mid and bot side of the map towards the top side for Baron. Light again, all on wave clear duty with the Infernum will help out quite a bit, but as soon as that gun's gone, WE will once again look to try and move in towards this mid lane structure.
Well, LNG have got the perfect guns for the Aphelios, the Severum and Crescendum, but not in any way, shape or form in a position to go for that just yet. Of course, I've got the double AD carry, so could burn it, and I just noticed as well, I didn't even really make much of a note of it, but it being a Mountain Soul, Tarzan, taking so much poke, but it being a Mountain Soul and everything for the side of WE, this just makes it so much harder for the Assassins to do their job. You're getting an extra shield, you're getting extra resistances, there's so many little things that just make LNG's life harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, Ale trying to see if he can go 1v1 against Breathe. I'm not sure if that's going to be a fight you win at this stage with the Cosmic Drive completed, but I mean, once you get the Banshee's Veil from Breathe, he's free to dominate these side lanes. He makes it very tough for LNG to try and control that. And as you said, I mean, Elk is going to be pretty much impossible for you to deal with here, as here we go.
Here we go, they're jumping in, they stop the tower, and that's going to force out the Lamb's Respite mid lane. Tier 1 has been taken. The Gwen uses the needlework just a little bit too early, not quite able to assassinate anyone. I feel like this is a losing battle for LNG. They just haven't got any answers.
And the thing is, they need to be trying to kind of do what we've been seeing from WE all series long. Play it through side lanes, and then look to collapse on mid. Have Icon and Ale coming in to threaten Elk. But Elk has been totally fine, right? Beishang has had full control over river. this entire game, and the reason being, with nobody really tanky enough to threaten the control WE have over their vision, WE are free to just continuously hold on to river and make it impossible for Ally and Icon to find these nice engages.
Oh, Elk goes very aggressive. Shuriken Flip has landed. They actually end up baiting out the quickness that was stolen. Nicely done there by Ale. Really like that little juke in and out, just making sure they get that very powerful summoner off of Sylas.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, right? Sylas is already like 3/4 of the way off, or 3/4 of the way done to being off again. So all he needs to do is hang on for it. You'll get to a point where you're totally fine. And now, because you forced them back, you could potentially turn over towards this barrel.
Bit risky to go for it just now. You've got the soul in a minute and a half, so would not really be the best of options to go for. Tarzan just clearing out as much vision as he possibly can. And everyone just kind of backs themselves away, picks up their items, gets themselves back onto the map. Looks like it is going to be that Dustblade of Drakar for the Ezreal, like you mentioned before, as he's got himself a Serrated Dirk and, of course, the Caulfield's Warhammer.
Either way, though, like, you're kind of moving past the point for LNG where you're fully relevant as Icon. You haven't been able to get the snowball rolling. You've got your Luden's Temp and Smarello, but unless you get towards a Rabadon's death cap, you're not going to get through just the raw magic resist that's on WE's team. I mean, you need that Void Staff as well at this stage. Like Banshee's Veil and, well, Verdant Barrier for Breathe and Shanks. You're getting that already Mob Mortius for Elk. Like, there's so much magic resist on this team. It's so hard for Ally and Icon to do their job.
I just don't think anyone can face check or move forward on this composition. We mentioned it a couple of times, but they're so squishy. Everyone will get completely obliterated in the blink of an eye if they try and move forward into this Team WE side. Whereas Team WE, they have shields, they have tanks, they have, you know, spell mitigation with the mist from Gwen. They have so many ways of just making LNG's life harder, and it does feel like right now the easier executionable composition is going to end up winning.
10 seconds until this dragon. Ali resetting TP potentially down towards the bottom side. I think he's trying to look for a flank here as LNG, they're just being poked out. Look at Light's health bar, and I mean, you can just walk straight over towards this objective now as WE.
Yeah, Light is sustaining up, so he's going to get himself back into a nicer health bar state, but Ale has been spotted out on the backside of this dragon. We're going to see the Shurelia's used. The quickness has been popped off. Elk has got his not got his flash available as he gets jumped on. The Shuriken Flip missed! Oh, and Ale's got no more damage. The light has gone down. LNG cannot execute on this composition. It needed to be perfect, and it was not. WE get themselves 4 kills, and they can barrel up the mid lane and look for the 2-1.
It ain't perfect, and it's LNG that get executed. Now, WE, once again, they're just looking to end the game. You got 30-second death timers, and it's just Icon left standing.
You just needed something a little bit more, as Icon will end up getting a little bit of chunk damage onto Missing. He's going to try and make that bit stick a little bit more, trying to cut off the minion wave, but I just don't think he can do it. He's being cornered off away. Missing will probably die. He does not care. The Nexus turrets fall. The Nexus go down. WE will step forward as victors in this best of 3.
And very well played by WE in that last game. Starting to come down to, okay, well, how do we actually outplay on the map? LNG were really going aggressive tit for tat here in these early stages. Teleports down towards that bottom side, having Icon a lot more mobile on the map in those early stages. But WE were so good at playing through their wave states. Figuring out, hey, look, Ali's got this push on top side, but it's not really in a position where it can threaten anything. Let's just all run down bot side, make these plays, get some kills, get some gold in our favor, and eventually then Elk doing way too much in this mid lane and using that range to great effect to shut down LNG.